Okay, in this video, I will show you how to make a yo-yo with a yo-yo maker. So these are yo-yo makers. The company that makes them is Clover. And Clover makes them in various sizes. And you'll notice that the yo-yo that is made is about half the size of the actual yo-yo maker. And that takes into account the fold of the fabric. So if you want to make a yo-yo that's about, and if you look here, it's about 2¼ inches, you would need this 5-inch yo-yo maker. And then this one, it's about 1½ inches yo-yo. Here's my favorite one, the one I use most often is my 1-inch yo-yo. And then here is a tiny 1/2 inch one. So I'm going to show you how you use these. They come apart, there are 2 pieces, so you take them apart. And you'll take a scrap of fabric and you'll lay the scrap of fabric on the part that has a lip, an edge. So you'll just lay that in there. Have a bit of an overhang because it will need to have at least 1/4 inch over this way. So we'll lay it down and then we'll take the top of the yo-yo maker and pop it in. Now there is a certain way to align it. You'll see that there are little marker lines on the yo-yo maker, and so you'll want to face it. And so you'll see here's the top, there's a little notch, and you'll want to face that top one with that notch. And then just make sure that you have about at least 1/4 inch. And you'll notice I didn't even pre-cut the fabric. I just went ahead and started with a full scrap piece of fabric. And then once it's popped into that yo-yo maker, so it's all snapped in, I'm going to go ahead and cut around. And we'll leave a little bit more than 1/4 inch of fabric on the yo-yo maker edge. Just cut around. And just snip that off. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It will get tucked into the yo-yo, so you'll never see it again. Okay, so then what you'll do is you'll start sewing. You'll start from this raw edge side. And to prepare, I like to use applique needles when I'm making my yo-yos. So I use these. You can use any needle you'd like, whatever you're comfortable with. But these are the ones that I like to use. Now, one tip I do have for the type of thread and how to prepare your thread is I like a good 40 weight. Now I'm just using a variegated 40 weight thread here. And so I have a piece, and then I like to prep it with some kind of conditioner just to make sure it doesn't break. So I use a 40 weight because it's a little thicker. I want to make sure it doesn't break. And then to give it extra stability, I will also use a thread conditioner. Now there are all kinds of thread conditioners that you can buy in the market. You can start with something as basic as your beeswax. So you can find these. Just beeswax. And then you just take your thread and you just slide it through the beeswax. That's one way to do it. Another one is called, on the market, that you can find pretty much in a lot of locations, is called Thread Heaven. And this one, you open the container and you press your thread through it. Now my favorite one lately is made in small batches in Canada, and it's called So Fine. So I'll just put some of them out here. They have all kinds of fun scents. And so that's what I've been using lately. So that's what I'll use today. So you open it up and you just lay your thread in there, hold it down with your finger and gently press it through. I like to give it one more. Okay, so now it's all prepped. I'll just tie a knot and we'll get going. Now, there are lots of different methods for tying a knot. Might as well show you how I do that. This is one that you may have seen before. So I start with my thread, wrap it around my finger just once. So I'm just pinching those 2 parts there, and then just roll it off, and then pull make a nice little neat knot. So that's how I make my knot. There are many different ways you could do it, but that's how I make mine. Okay, so back to our yo-yo. So again, I like to start right at the top. And again, we're going to start from the raw edge side. And you'll see those little notches. That's where your needle will go through. And you'll see little notches here. Now, here's what you'll have to notice. Notice that there are loops guiding you where to make your stitch. So you don't want to make it over the yo-yo maker because it will get stuck on the yo-yo maker. Ask me how I know. I've done that. So make sure that you're staying within the open spaces. So you'll start on this side and you'll have to place the needle through. You can kind of just feel it, right? Because it's hidden under the fabric. You feel where that notch is. Pull it through. And now we'll see which way is our notch going. And so I'll have to make sure to go in the open space. Push it through. Flip it over. And then your needle just kind of goes into that spot. You don't really see it from the top. And then open notch, go through, and on you go. These go really fast with the yo-yo maker. And again, after a while, you don't have to flip it over. You can just face it from the side where you see the notches open, and it just guides your sewing. Just make sure that you're always holding down that fabric. So if it comes up, you have to tuck it back down and under. And just keep going. And so you're going to go around the circle. And when you get to the last notch, you're going to go one more. And so you want to overlap, and you'll see that I'm coming to that point now. So here's the last notch. And I started, and I like to start right there on that marker. I'd advise you to do the same so you can figure out, where did I start again? There's this little mark notch. It's the only one on the, well, actually there are 3 you can choose from, but I face it face up based on the word of the logo. And then this is my last notch. I'm going to go over the first one more time. And that's it. That's all it takes to make a yo-yo. So it has this nifty little open slot. You pop it out. Now we're just left with the interior disc. We're going to take that out. And here's the fun part. So you take it, and I have my needle, and I'm going to gently pull a thread, keeping my thumb in the middle. And I like to just go around to make sure it's all bunching evenly. And now you'll start to tuck the raw edge of the fabric under. And the reason for that is you'll notice that they're totally hidden, right? So you just see the folded fabric. That's what we're trying to achieve. Now it's going to be teeny tiny, because this is our 1/2 inch one. So I'm going to tuck it in and just give it a nice tug. And then once you get to this point, you'll just flatten it out. And tug and flatten. And there's our little mini tiny yo-yo that we started with. So again, it's about half the size, maybe even a little less, about half the size of that yo-yo maker. So this is a teeny tiny one. Okay, to finish, we go through the yo-yo into the center. I'm not going through any of these layers of fabric. I'm just going through that last back fabric, pull it through, and I am going to attach my yo-yos to my project. So I'm not going to look at the back, so it really doesn't matter. Otherwise, you can hide your knot inside one of these pleats if you're going to leave the back exposed. And there are some different purposes of using yo-yos that you might want to do that, so then you can hide your knot in one of those pleats. That's also an option. But since I'm going to attach it to my project, I'm going to go ahead and tie the knot behind, leave a loop, and give it a nice tug. One more, just to make sure that it's nice and secure. And that's it. That's how you make a yo-yo with a yo-yo maker. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and go out and make yo-yos as well.